Damn it. Do you think I'm going to keep putting up with your games? I'm tired of it. Golf's footsteps stopped. Now Golf was falling. Golf was terrified as the werewolf continued to close in on him. Golf couldn't run. Golf was afraid to stand up. Now Golf was silent and resigned to what would happen later. Golf was knocked down by the tree behind him, but the werewolf didn't stop walking towards Golf. Damn it! During Golf's journey to escape from the castle, until Golf managed to get out of the vampire's forest, Golf was accidentally caught by the werewolf. Golf kept running, but the werewolf's pace was faster than Golf's footsteps until Golf fell down and resulted in the state he was in now. Golf closed his eyes when the werewolf started to get closer to Golf's face, until suddenly Golf felt touched by a hand that was so smooth, fragrant, and also soft. But Golf did not dare to open his eyes. Don't be afraid. Open your eyes. I won't do anything to you. The melodious voice that made Golf even more curious about who the owner of the voice was. Slowly Golf opened his eyes and Golf no longer saw the figure of a werewolf in front of him, but what he saw was a man wearing black clothes and long hair. Who was touching Golf's cheek? What's your name? I'm Mile Facfum, but you can call me Mile, the man said when Golf had just opened his eyes. Golf still did not dare to answer the man in front of him because Golf was very afraid. Golf believed that the man in front of him was a werewolf who was chasing him. The man said when Golf had just opened his eyes. Golf still didn't dare to answer the man in front of him because Golf was very afraid. Golf believed that the man in front of him was a werewolf who had been chasing him. Mile was the most powerful werewolf in the region. Mile was also one of Mew's biggest enemies because of their differences. Looks like you're hurt. Mile almost grabbed Golf's neck, which had bite marks and kiss marks from Mew. But Golf threw him away first, because he was afraid that if the werewolf knew that it was a vampire bite mark, he would kill Golf. You're not a werewolf, are you? Miles said. Golf's eyes rounded. He was even more when the werewolf already knew his identity. Golf did not dare to look back at the werewolf. Don't be afraid. I won't kill you. There's nothing to gain if I kill you. Miles stroked Golf's hair to calm him down so that he would not be afraid of her. You're hurt. I'll treat you. Come with me. No. Can I ask for help? Sighed Golf, who was still fighting his fear. Say, I want to get out of here. Do you know where the exit is to get back to the human world? Human world. I know, although a little doubtful of Mile. But now only he can help me at this time, Golf muttered in his heart. Even if Mile lied, maybe Golf would surrender. Can I carry you? You look like you're having trouble walking. Come to think of it, the werewolf is much more friendly than the vampire. But why did Mr. Lee say that werewolves are so cruel? That was what Golf had in mind right now. Golf just nodded to allow Mile to carry his body. Before long, Mile was carrying Golf to walk further away from the vampire area. Are you a fox demon? Damn it. Mile's question again made Golf afraid to answer it. Golf just looked down without replying or looking at the werewolf. You must be here to kill vampires, right? How do you know? Golf finally had the courage to answer Mile's question, even though his heart was troubled. I also once liked the fox demon, but I don't know if he's still alive or not. When did you last meet the person you liked? On the day when the vampire and werewolf nations experienced the biggest war than ever before, Mile replied. Feeling that there would be no topic, Golf decided to stay in the werewolf's arms. You have vampire bite marks and Miles suddenly stopped his speech. Damn. Must mean kiss marks, Golf muttered to himself. Suddenly, Someone at a very high speed immediately took Golf from Miles' arms, to the point that there was no sound of footsteps from there. Mew Suppasit? Golf, who was still in Mew's arms, was wearing a black robe and a face covering, but Golf could tell that it was Mew from Mew's eyes, which were clearly Mew. Mew dropped Golf under a big tree and then immediately attacked the werewolf. From the look that Mew showed Golf, it was clear that Mew was furious. In the middle of the vampire and werewolf's argument, Golf tried to stand up to run away before Mew realized, "Don't you dare try to run away from me." Mew, who realized when Golf wanted to run away, Mew tried to approach Golf and left the werewolf, who had fallen because of his lightning-fast punch. But suddenly Mao clawed Mew's left leg, which made Golf fall too. Golf didn't care about Mew and continued running without direction. Golf's body also hurt, that Golf's head felt a little dizzy. Moreover, Golf was also pregnant, so Golf had to protect his baby more than his own life. Mew bit Miles' neck when Miles stabbed his stomach with the claws in his hand. Mew also took out the fangs and claws from Mew's teeth and fingers, and then Mew stuck the claws right on the back of the werewolf's neck. With the strength that Mile had, he pushed Mew's body until Mew bounced and looked at the two big trees later. Mew immediately turned to get away from this tree, but Mile came to him first and gave several punches on Mew's stomach and face. Blood flowed down Mew's lips. Mew's stomach also looked a little torn because of Miles' punches, but fortunately, Mew was able to get free from the thorny tree and immediately returned to attacking the werewolf until the werewolf was completely defeated. Then the werewolf turned into a small wolf star and left Mew, who was getting weaker and weaker due to exhaustion. Without resting, Mew immediately searched for Golf with all the strength he had so that he could meet Golf sooner. Even though blood flowed on the ground that Mew passed, but he didn't care at all. What Mew was thinking now was not to let Golf escape from here. The footsteps are getting smaller. Golf's stomach hurts a lot. Golf's head also feels very dizzy, especially Golf's anal, which continues to emit pain every time Golf walks step by step to get away from the eviction in that direction. Unfortunately, now Golf was stuck by the road he was heading for. Golf stopped his steps when Golf almost fell off the cliff. If Golf managed to continue one more footstep, now there was no other way but for Golf to go back towards the fight between the vampire and the werewolf. But as Golf turned around, Golf saw the figure of the person he was avoiding standing a few meters away from Golf. "I told you that you won't be able to escape from me, Golf." The bass voice that came out of Mew's mouth made Golf's heart skip a beat because of the fear he felt. "There's no other way. It's better for you to surrender. Give up? Then you go back to torturing me, taking advantage of me? Do you think I don't have a heart? You don't have to force me like this. All you need is a descendant, right? You can impregnate that woman, but not me. I still want to live my normal life too." Golf shouted like he wanted to jump off a cliff. "Golf, you don't try to jump from there. I'm sorry. Trust me. Damn it. Do you think I'll keep putting up with your games? I'm tired of it." Golf plunges off the cliff. Golf, with the remaining strength that Mew had, Mew took out the wings from his back that he had not used since his girlfriend left. Just imagine that's Mew's face. Then with a very painful step, Mew caught Golf's body that was about to fall down. Mew almost couldn't balance Golf's body because of Mew's injury, which made him weak. Without caring about the pain that Mew felt, he immediately held Golf's body and climbed back up and flew back to the castle. This Golf was already unconscious when he jumped off the cliff. Honestly, Mew has never taken out his wings at all since his girlfriend died. Moreover, this Mew took out its wings in werewolf territory. It could make the werewolves smell the existence of the vampire. But this was the only way to save Golf's life. 30 minutes had passed. Now Mew had arrived at Doo's house. Mew immediately handed over Golf to Doo to be examined. Even though Mew was more injured, he had a laceration on his stomach, his back which was still bleeding from the thorny tree earlier, his leg which was still bleeding from the werewolf stab in Mew's face, which looked like it was drenched in blood. Mew washed himself first while waiting for Doo to come out of the room. With every splash of warm water from the bathtub, Mew continued to endure the pain he felt. The blood still hadn't stopped. Mew decided to treat his wounds first. For some reason, when Mew recalled the moment Golf decided to jump off the cliff, Mew seemed to have made a big mistake and felt regret for betraying and even using Golf. After treating his wounds, Mew sat in front of the room to wait for Doo to come out of the room. Mew was anxious. This fear was the same as the incident where Mew's lover had also experienced the same thing. Mew didn't want to repeat the same mistake to the person he loved. But sometimes Mew is also confused by the feelings he feels towards Golf. Honestly, Golf's nature is very similar to Mew's past lover, but it seems like Mew has more difficulty to make Golf believe that from this moment on Mew has really fallen in love with him. It had been for hours since Golf was brought into the room, but Doo had not finished checking Golf's condition, which made Mew even more anxious. Damn! Why is it taking so long? How is Golf's condition? Is he okay? Mew immediately got up from his seat when he saw Doo had just come out of the room. Golf is lacking a lot of blood. His condition is also getting weaker. Take my blood. I'll give up all my blood for Golf if it can make him recover. Mew said, your condition is also weak. You can't help it. Damn it. Don't talk so much. Just donate my blood for Golf. Mew shouted while raising his voice slightly. That could endanger the baby inside Golf's stomach. Mew, you just follow my orders. Prioritize Golf's safety. I can still take care of that problem. You're so stubborn. Alright, now come with me, Doo said. Doo finally allowed Mew to donate his blood for Golf. Then after he finished taking care of Mew's blood donation, Doo immediately operated on Golf. Until the next day, Doo had just finished operating on Golf, and then Golf was immediately taken to a more comfortable room, but Mew forbade it. Mew wanted to immediately take Golf home to his castle, even though Doo actually did not allow it, but because of Mew's stubbornness, inevitably Doo had to obey Mew's wishes. Now that Golf was in the vampire's castle, Mew kept looking at Golf's face while kissing Golf's hand and hoping that Golf would wake up soon. Mew, Doo walked into Mew's room. I want to talk to you alone. It's about Golf's condition. Doo continued. Without answering a word, Mew immediately left the room, but before leaving, Mew gave Golf a peck on the lips, which made Doo a little sultry. Now Doo and Mew were in Mew's private room. Did you give Golf a sign on his neck that he is now yours? Doo asked. The werewolves already know about Golf's existence. They also know that Golf is not a vampire. They know that when you're wearing your wings, they can smell the fox demon on Golf's body. What's your next plan? If Golf stays here, it will only endanger the lives of other vampires. I will bring Golf to the human realm. So Mew took a cigarette and started smoking it. Wouldn't that endanger your life? There are many fox demons living there. I told you Golf's life is more important than mine. I'll take him there tonight when the moon is in the center of the sky. Mew said. Golf's condition is still weak. He won't wake up in a month. That's because you kept having intercourse with her without caring about the baby in her stomach. Okay, Mr. Du is always right. So mewed in a mocking tone. After finishing discussing about Golf's condition, Mew wanted to go back to Golf's room, but was suddenly blocked by Alacia, who had just arrived at the castle. Honey, where are you going? Why are you ignoring me? Alacia said while wrapping her hand around Mew's arm. No, I just want to rest. What are you doing here? Answered Mew while stroking Alacia's hair. I missed you. I was worried when you suddenly left while making love with me. Alacia replied, who began to act spoiled to Mew. I'm sorry, dear. Do you want to continue again? Alacia blushed at Mew's words that she really wanted to say. Then Mew took Alacia upstairs to do intimate things with her. Night begins to fall. Now the clock starts to point at 12 p.m. After doing intimate things with Alacia, Mew left Alacia in her room when Alacia was fast asleep. Now Mew is in the Golf room. There are also Du and Cow who want to help Mew to go to the human realm. Cow no pa Cow. He can be said to be like a cousin to Mew even though Cow is only 945 years old, but because they never judge siblings by age, so Cow is Mew's older brother. Now that Mew is ready to bring the Golf to the human realm, they are currently underground for the ritual of Mew's departure to the human realm. The ritual probably lasted 30 minutes, and now Mew was holding Golf's body tightly until they finally arrived in the human realm. Mew immediately arrived at the house that Cow had prepared. Mew immediately brought Golf into the house. Then Mew immediately laid Golf's body on the bed in his room. Mew kissed Golf's lips first before he decided to clean himself up. After finishing her bath, Mew went to sleep next to Golf. Mew always took the opportunity to smother Golf's lips and kiss Golf's neck, and looking at Golf's cute sleeping face. But it's been 5 months since Golf woke up from his sleep. During these 5 months, Mew's activities have remained the same. Mew went back to killing humans when he felt hungry. Because Mew kept giving his blood to Golf, so Mew also had to steal blood from humans. Maybe it has been 8,000 humans that Mew has sucked blood from in the last 6 months, until the news came on television about the murders that Mew had committed. On a sunny day, in Golf's room, Mew kept looking at Golf's face while Golf was asleep. It was so adorable that Mew wanted to have sex with Golf again. Suddenly, in the middle of Mew looking at Golf's face, the doorbell sounded from outside. Mew immediately left Golf to open the door, but before that, Mew kissed Golf's lips again before he left Golf in the room alone. Mew stepped forward and immediately opened the door of his house without checking the door first. Honey, Alacia. She came to Mew's house and hugged him tightly. Alacia, why did you get here? I missed you. Didn't you miss me? Alacia replied, getting spoiled. Sure, Mew said while returning Alacia's hug. But why didn't you tell me to come in? Sorry, honey. I still want to hug you, Mew said. Then after that, Mew carried Alacia's body to go inside his house. It had been 6 months since Golf's pregnancy. Now Golf's belly was also getting bigger, but Golf never woke up from his sleep. And Mew, who had been holding back his desire, now Alacia casually came to Mew's residence. Even though it was clear that Golf was in his house, Mew also locked Golf in the basement. The room was so dark, silent, and there was no sign of sunlight. Slowly, Golf's eyes opened. Golf began to wake up from his sleep. But Golf's vision was still blurry, and his head still felt dizzy. Golf began to clarify his vision first, and then Golf tried to wake up from his sleep, even though he occasionally failed. But Golf still tried to get up. Failed, but Golf kept trying to get up until finally he managed to get up. Golf headed to the bathroom, then looked at himself in front of the glass. Damn it! That crazy fox demon must have made all these marks. It was true that Golf had a lot of kiss marks on his neck, but Golf's gaze was suddenly distracted by Golf's growing belly. There was a deep pain inside Golf's heart. Golf still didn't expect that he would experience all these strange events. How could a man get pregnant? That's what Golf was still thinking. Golf fell helplessly as the pain in his heart continued to pierce his heart. Golf was crying. Golf couldn't accept that he had to go through all this. He fell silent and sat on the floor, holding his head and crying silently. Golf didn't want to make a sound while he was crying, but suddenly someone hugged him. The person smelled the same as Golf's lover, but when Golf looked at the person's figure, Golf immediately pushed the body of the person who was hugging his body tightly. Golf spontaneously kicked him. Golf tried to stand up and intended to leave Mew, who was still falling on the floor. But because Mew was more agile than Golf, Mew stood up and immediately grabbed Golf's waist and then slowly pressed him against the bathroom wall, and without a pause, Mew kissed Golf on the lips. Golf tried to hit Mew's chest to make Mew stop kissing his lips, but Mew tied both of Golf's hands with Mew's palms and put them on Golf's head. Stop, you lunatic. I can't breathe, you know. Mew briefly paused his kiss and then kissed Golf's lips again. Then Golf bit Mew's lip until it bled, while swearing at him. Ignoring Mew's words, Golf immediately left Mew while Golf was out of his grip. With the strength that Mew had, he used his strength to immediately stand in front of Golf's steps. Mew bumped into Golf when suddenly Golf was in front of his footsteps. You're avoiding me? Golf gripped Mew's arm so tightly that Mew felt pain. Even Mew was grimacing in pain, but still Golf did not release his grip. Are you angry? Still with his grip, Golf lifted Mew's chin for Mew to look at him because Mew had been looking down, hiding his face of pain. None of your business. Let go. Hearing an answer that did not match his expectations, Golf tightened his grip even more after that. Golf forcibly pulled Mew out of the bathroom and laid Mew on the bed, then Golf climbed onto Mew's body. Get off my body, crazy fox demon. Mew stopped Golf's words by kissing his lips. Golf struggled while hitting Mew's stomach. In order to escape from his kiss, Golf was too aggressive in kissing Mew's lips to the point that it was not comfort that Mew got, but pain that Mew got when Golf relentlessly crushed Mew's tongue. When he was satisfied kissing Mew's lips, Golf lowered his face to kiss Mew's neck until he gave another kiss mark, even though there were many kiss marks on Mew's neck that had not disappeared. Ugh. Fox demon is crazy. Get out of my way. You're crazy. It looked like Golf was going to hurt Mew's neck. Mew's neck was bleeding slightly. That made Golf want to suck Mew's blood, but considering that Mew was still recovering, Golf held back his desire. After kissing Mew's neck, Golf forcibly undressed Mew, and Mew continued to struggle, but to no avail, until Golf almost tore Mew's clothes, but stopped because Golf smelled the human odor around his house. You leech. Mew was finally able to push Golf's body away from him until Golf fell under the bed. You really don't know what to love. Golf stood up and approached Mew again. This time you got away, but next time I won't let you get away, Golf said while ruffling Mew's hair, then left Mew in the room alone. This time Golf did not forget to lock the door to Mew's room. Golf opened his door because he knew that someone would knock on his door. Golf I'm sorry Papa could only come to see you. Papa is very busy this month. There was a 40-year-old man outside Golf's door, and after Golf opened the door for him, the man hugged Golf and Golf returned the hug. No problem, Golf said after finishing the hug, and then brought the man into his house. Nicky Hayden. He was an ordinary man who Golf already considered as his own father. Nicky worked as a police officer 20 years ago. Nicky was assigned to catch a person, Fox Demon, who had killed many humans, and that's when Nicky met Golf. But at that time, Nicky did not arrest Golf. He helped Golf escape from other police searches, and from that day on, Nicky and Golf's relationship became so close that Golf wanted to call Nicky Papa, because Golf loved Nicky more than his own parents. Now Nicky, Alicia, and Golf were in the living room. Honestly, Nicky didn't like it when Alicia was at Golf's house, but Alicia continued to seek attention in order to get Nicky's blessing. Uncle, how are you? Alicia asked Nicky. It's getting worse, Nicky replied, which seemed to offend Alicia. Alicia smiled at Nicky's answer, but inside her heart, was she still smiling? I'm having dinner tonight, so don't go home yet. There will also be Dew and Violet's mom, Mew said to get rid of his awkwardness. Mother Violet will be here. I can't wait to meet her, Alicia said while leaning her head on Mew's shoulder. Aren't there any other guests? Nicky asked. There are, Mew replied, which made Alicia round her eyes. Who is that, dear? Isn't it just our family? Asked Alicia. You don't belong to our family, because you're not Mew's fiancé or wife yet, sighed Nicky, who didn't like what Alicia said. Alicia forced a smile at Nicky's words. Nicely, Mew was reprimanded for not accepting Alicia being treated like that. Papa wants to go to the bathroom first, Nicky said to avoid his fight with Mew. Now in the living room there was only Alicia and Mew. Alicia continued to lean on Mew's shoulder while wrapping her hands around Mew's arms. Mew also held Alicia's waist while sipping the drink in the glass. Looks like your father still hates me, sighed Alicia, who was getting spoiled with Mew. He will definitely be able to accept you, so don't listen too much to what my papa says, okay, honey? Alright, I'm willing to be patient just for your sake, Alicia said after kissing Mew's cheek. When Nicky wanted to return to the living room from the bathroom, Nicky seemed to hear the sound of banging on the door from the basement. But not wanting to be disrespectful to his son, Nicky decided to ask Mew first. But when Nicky arrived back to the living room, it turned out that there was still Alicia, who was getting attached to Mew. Nicky sat next to Mew, making Mew look at him questioningly. Papa wants to talk to you, Nicky said to Mew. Honey, if you're tired, go back to your room. I want to talk to Papa alone, Mew said to Alicia. Alright, I'll wait for you in the room. Alicia left the living room. Are you hiding someone in this house? Asked Nicky after Alicia left. Yes, who? Papa wants to know. You want to meet him? Yes. I want to know who you're hiding. I'll invite him to eat with us tonight, Mew replied. Papa, go to your room and rest first. Mew wants to go to the room to see Alicia. Mew continued. Is she your girlfriend? Asked Nicky. Not yet. Do you want to make her your wife? Asked Nicky again. No, she's not my taste. Huh? You haven't changed. Then who is your taste? Almost met. I'm sure Papa will approve. Papa will be waiting for his arrival. After finishing talking with Nicky, Mew went back to Alicia's room. 1 hour later, Mew came out of Alicia's room to meet Golf. Now Nicky, Alicia, and Golf were in the living room. Honestly, Nicky didn't like it when Alicia was at Golf's house. but Alicia continued to seek attention in order to get Nikki's blessing. "Uncle, how are you?" Alicia asked Nikki. "It's getting worse," Nikki replied, which seemed to offend Alicia. Alicia smiled at Nikki's answer, but inside her heart, was she still smiling? "I'm having dinner tonight, so don't go home yet. There will also be Dew and Violet's mom," Mew said to get rid of his awkwardness. "Mother Violet will be here. I can't wait to meet her," Alicia said while leaning her head on Mew's shoulder. "Aren't there any other guests?" Nikki asked. "There are," Mew replied, which made Alicia round her eyes. "Who is that, dear? Isn't it just our family?" asked Alicia. "You don't belong to our family, because you're not Mew's fiancé or wife yet," sighed Nikki, who didn't like what Alicia said. Alicia forced a smile at Nikki's words. Nicely, Mew was reprimanded for not accepting Alicia being treated like that. "Papa wants to go to the bathroom first," Nikki said to avoid his fight with Mew. Now in the living room there was only Alicia and Mew. Alicia continued to lean on Mew's shoulder while wrapping her hands around Mew's arms. Mew also held Alicia's waist while sipping the drink in the glass. "Looks like your father still hates me," sighed Alicia, who was getting spoiled with Mew. "He will definitely be able to accept you, so don't listen too much to what my papa says, okay, honey?" "Alright, I'm willing to be patient just for your sake," Alicia said after kissing Mew's cheek. When Nikki wanted to return to the living room from the bathroom, Nikki seemed to hear the sound of banging on the door from the basement. But not wanting to be disrespectful to his son, Nikki decided to ask Mew first. But when Nikki arrived back to the living room, it turned out that there was still Alicia, who was getting attached to Mew. Nikki sat next to Mew, making Mew look at him questioningly. "Papa wants to talk to you," Nikki said to Mew. "Honey, if you're tired, go back to your room. I want to talk to Papa alone," Mew said to Alicia. "Alright, I'll wait for you in the room." Alicia left the living room. "Are you hiding someone in this house?" asked Nikki after Alicia left. "Yes." "Who?" "Papa wants to know." "You want to meet him?" "Yes. I want to know who you're hiding. I'll invite him to eat with us tonight," Mew replied. "Papa, go to your room and rest first. Mew wants to go to the room to see Alicia." Mew continued. "Is she your girlfriend?" asked Nikki. "Not yet." "Do you want to make her your wife?" asked Nikki again. "No, she's not my taste." "Huh? You haven't changed. Then who is your taste?" "Almost met. I'm sure Papa will approve." Papa will be waiting for his arrival. After finishing talking with Nikki, Mew went back to Alicia's room. 1 hour later, Mew came out of Alicia's room to meet Gulf. Mew brought raw meat and blood in a black bottle to give to Gulf. Mew opened the door to Gulf's room slowly, but Mew didn't see Gulf at all. Mew then looked for Gulf in the kitchen and saw Gulf, who was trying to remove the kiss marks on his neck. Mew smiled wryly at Gulf's nature, which looked funny to him. How could he remove that mark with just soap? Especially when he saw the look on his face that looked like he was upset. Mew blushed even more. "Sorry for the lazy editing. The signal was so bad." Mew approached Gulf slowly, then suddenly, Mew wrapped his arms around Gulf's waist and without pause, Mew immediately bit Gulf's neck to make another kiss mark. "Hey, are you crazy? I've gone to great lengths to get rid of these marks." Gulf pushed Mew's body until Mew stepped back a few steps. But Mew was satisfied and even. Mew smiled wryly when Gulf scolded him for his actions. "Didn't you ever get that mark? You fool! No matter how many years you try to remove that mark from your neck, it won't work because I will keep adding to it every day," Mew taunted as he walked back towards Gulf. I'm not a slut like you, so I never have sex with just anyone. Golf replied as he walked out of the bathroom. Really? You having sex with me means I'm not just anyone. Mew confronted Golf by positioning Golf in the corner of the bathroom while holding both of Golf's hands and then placing both of Golf's hands on Golf's head with one grip of Mew's hand. Then he said those words right next to Golf's ear, and Mew licked Golf's ear. Crazy vampire. Shit. Get lost. Mew gave another kiss mark on Golf's neck. You really are crazy. Stop it. Golf continued to struggle, but his strength was too weak to fight Mew. After being satisfied biting Golf's neck, Mew immediately carried Golf out of the bathroom, and then Mew laid Golf's body on the bed. Then Mew climbed onto Golf's body, and without pausing, Mew immediately kissed Golf's lips very brutally. Mew was too aggressive to the point of hurting Golf's lips. Until 7 minutes passed, Mew finally stopped kissing Golf's lips to pick up the raw meat and blood that he had brought earlier. Then Mew sat back down next to Golf, who was still catching his breath. Eat this, Mew said while feeding the meat to Golf's mouth. No. Golf immediately got up from his seat to walk away from Mew. Golf, don't make me be rude to you again. Mew stood up from his seat to approach Golf, but Golf also walked away from Mew. Do you want to play chase with me? Mew again approached Golf, but Golf also continued to avoid Mew. I don't like the meat you gave me. I didn't give it to you. I gave it to the child from your womb, but I'm the one who has to eat that meat. Wait for the child to be born so you can give the meat to him. Are you making a joke? Stop right there and quickly eat this meat. I won't. Are you deaf? Again, Golf moved away when Mew approached him. You have to eat it. Mew used his strength to immediately arrive right behind Golf. Then Mew immediately remembered both of Golf's hands with his palms. Let go of me, you blood-sucking leech. Mew turned Golf's body around and looked at him at the wall. Then Mew bit the meat he was carrying and kissed Golf's lips to channel the meat in Mew's mouth so that it could enter Golf's mouth. Mew released a kiss and then immediately covered Golf's mouth with his palm so that Golf would not spit out the meat in his mouth until it was completely confirmed that the meat had been swallowed by Golf. Mew just let go of covering Golf's lips. Are you crazy, you leech? Mew did the same thing to Golf again until the meat he brought was gone. Even after the meat he brought was swallowed by Golf, Mew also did the same thing when Mew wanted to give Golf blood. Until now, Mew and Golf's clothes were full of blood because Golf kept struggling when forced to drink the blood. Crazy vampire, I will definitely avenge you, Golf said after resetting his breathing. I will wait for him. With pleasure, said Mew with a smile. Golf glanced sharply at Mew when he heard Mew's answer. After the flesh and blood debate, Mew again forced Golf to take a bath, and after Golf took a bath, Mew prepared a huge black robe for Golf. You're asking me to wear this robe? What? Are you mocking me? I'm not a vampire who likes to cover himself with a stupid cloak. I will look like a ghost when I wear that robe. Take back your ugly robe, Golf said when Mew gave the black robe to Golf. I want to invite you to meet my family. You have to wear this robe to cover your stomach. Why are you ashamed to say that this baby is your flesh and blood? So Golf, while taking the robe from Mew's hand, as if by force. Don't jump to conclusions. There's Alacia. There's my girlfriend. I don't want her to know that you're pregnant with my child, Mew said again. This Mr. Vampire turned out to be more like a shameless hypocrite. Golf mocked Mew by following what Mew said earlier, and then Golf left Mew to go to the bathroom to wear a robe according to Mew's will. 7 p.m. After arguing about the robe issue, Mew left Golf in the room for over an hour. Golf was now lying on a chair in the room, as he was probably exhausted from carrying the weight in his stomach. Mew came and brought a black box which made Golf remember the incident a few months ago, when Mew was molesting him on the bed. "You, what are you going to do? Don't come any closer." Golf immediately saw Naga and moved away from Mew when Mew approached him. "Haha, you remember this. Did you like it back then?" Mew said with a smug face. Mew immediately used his strength to knock Golf down, and after that, Mew tied Golf with the chain that he carried in the box and then sat Golf down on the sofa. Golf continued to rebel, but he still couldn't against Mew's strength. "Why are you so excited to meet them? Or are you impatient when I play this tool? Did you think I would fall for your plan? Did I not know all this time that? I also knew that you knew you were now in the human world, and that's why when I told you to take you to see my parents, there was absolutely no rebellion from you. Moreover, when I gave you the rope, you snatched it right away. You must have made a plan to escape, right? I'm not stupid, Golf. Don't you know that I hid a surveillance camera in this room?" Mew said as he approached Golf. Golf's hair stood up. He kept trying to untie his hands, but it didn't work. But even if it did, Golf still wouldn't be able to escape anyway. "I'll teach you a little lesson, so that I can manage you and you won't try to escape from me." "No, please don't. I won't run away again. I promise." Mew ignored Golf's request. Mew roughly undid Golf's shirt and pants. "I beg you not to do that. You must remember I am pregnant with your child," said Golf in a pleading tone.